The rain poured relentlessly over the city, washing away the dust and noise, but not the struggles of those who walked its streets. Among them was Lila, a young woman in her early 20s, clutching a worn-out umbrella and a bag full of job application forms. Her shoes were soaked, her jacket thin, but her heart remained stubbornly kind. She had been searching for work for months, cafes, offices, shops, anywhere that would give her a chance. Yet every door seemed to close in her face, her plain clothes and tired eyes a silent disqualification in a world dazzled by wealth and appearance. As she hurried down the street, something caught her eye, a black leather wallet, half hidden under a bench. She picked it up, intending to hand it to the police later, but when she opened it to look for identification, her breath caught. Inside were several $1,000s in cash, gleaming credit cards, and a sleek business card that read, "Greater than Ethan Cole, CEO, Cole Industries." Lila swallowed hard. She had heard of him, one of the youngest billionaires in the city, known for his ruthless business sense and impossible standards. For a fleeting moment, temptation whispered, "This money could pay your rent, your mother's medicine, your debt, no one would know." But she closed the wallet firmly. "No," she murmured to herself. "If it's not mine, it's not meant for me." With trembling hands, she searched online for Cole Industries and made her way to their headquarters, a towering building of glass and steel. The receptionist gave her a doubtful look as she stepped in, drenched and shivering. "Miss, do you have an appointment?" "No," Lila replied softly, holding up the wallet. "But I found this. I think it belongs to Mr. Ethan Cole." The receptionist's eyes widened. Within minutes, security escorted her to the top floor. The doors opened to a sleek office where Ethan Cole himself stood, tall and sharp in a tailored suit. He turned toward her, studying the soaked girl holding his lost wallet as though she were an unsolved riddle. "You found this?" he asked, his voice low but powerful. "Yes, sir," Lila said. "It was on a bench near the park. I thought you'd want it back." Ethan took it slowly, his gaze never leaving her face. He opened it. Everything was there. Not a single dollar missing. "You didn't take anything." Lila frowned, slightly offended. "No, sir, I don't steal." For a moment, something unreadable flickered in his eyes, amusement, respect, or perhaps guilt. "Do you know who I am?" he asked. "Yes," she said simply. "But that doesn't change what's right." Ethan leaned back in his chair, intrigued. "What's your name?" "Lila." He nodded slowly. "You may go now, Lila." She turned to leave, her heart pounding. She expected at least a "thank you," but his tone was cold, dismissive, as if she were invisible. Still, she forced a small smile and walked out. When the elevator doors closed, Ethan's assistant entered, whispering, "Sir, she could have taken the money." "You're certain about the test?" Ethan stared at the wallet, then at the glass window overlooking the city. "Yes," he said quietly. "Now let's see what she does next." He wasn't testing honesty for curiosity. He was looking for something, or rather, someone. Lila could barely sleep that night. The billionaire's letter sat on her bedside table, the golden seal gleaming faintly under the flickering bulb. She had read it a dozen times already. The words were simple, but they carried a weight that kept her heart awake. Greater than, honesty is rare. Come to Cole Industries tomorrow at 10 a.m., Ethan Cole. She didn't know if it was a job offer, a thank you, or another test. But she knew one thing. She couldn't ignore it. When the morning sun crept through her cracked window, Lila rose quietly, careful not to wake her mother. Her mother's breathing was shallow, the illness slowly taking its toll. Lila brushed her hair, put on her cleanest blouse, still faded from years of use, and whispered, "Wish me luck, Mom." Her mother smiled faintly. "Luck follows those who do right, my dear." By the time Lila reached the towering glass headquarters of Cole Industries, her nerves were trembling. The receptionist who had once doubted her now smiled politely. "Mr. Cole is expecting you, Miss Lila." That line alone sent chills down her spine. The elevator carried her to the top floor again, the same floor where she'd stood dripping wet just a week before. But this time, the woman staring back from the elevator mirror looked slightly different, more determined, more alive. The doors opened. Ethan Cole stood by the window, hands in his pockets, the city sprawled beneath him like a conquered kingdom. He didn't turn as she entered. "Miss Lila," he said, his voice low but commanding. "You came." "Yes, sir." "You asked me to. Do you know why you're here?" She hesitated. "To return your wallet, again," she said, trying to smile. Ethan turned finally, a small amused curve on his lips. No, you already did that part. Now, I want to ask you something. He motioned for her to sit. When she did, he leaned against his desk and asked, why didn't you keep the money? Lila blinked. Because it wasn't mine. He studied her. You needed it. I could tell just by looking at you. Her throat tightened. Need doesn't justify stealing, Mr. Cole. My mother always told me, character is what you do when no one's watching. For a long moment, Ethan said nothing. Then, quietly, what if I told you someone was watching? She frowned. What do you mean? He walked to his desk and pulled out a small folder. That wallet wasn't lost by accident, Lila. I left it there on purpose. I wanted to see what people would do. Lila stared, disbelief flashing across her face. You set me up, I tested you, he corrected. And you passed. Her chair scraped slightly as she rose, stunned. So, this was all just some experiment to satisfy your curiosity. Do you always play games with people's lives? Ethan's voice softened, but his eyes stayed sharp. I've built an empire surrounded by liars and opportunists. Everyone wants something: power, money, fame. I just wanted to see if honesty still existed. Lila's anger began to fade into something else, confusion, maybe pity. Did you find your answer? She asked quietly. He looked straight at her. Yes, I found you. The silence stretched between them, fragile but heavy. Then Ethan handed her the folder. Inside, you'll find a job offer. Executive assistant to the CEO, starting tomorrow. Lila blinked, speechless. A job? I don't understand. You were looking for work, weren't you? You're intelligent, disciplined, and, most importantly, honest. That's the kind of person I want beside me. She opened the folder and saw the numbers. $120,000 a year. Her breath caught. It was more money than she could ever dream of. I can't accept this, she whispered. You can, Ethan said firmly. And you will. Her eyes glistened. Why would you do this for me? Because you reminded me what decency looks like. His tone softened. It's been a long time since anyone did that. Lila bit her lip, overwhelmed. Thank you, Mr. Cole. He smiled faintly. Call me Ethan. That day marked the beginning of a new chapter in Lila's life. Her first weeks at Cole Industries were nothing short of chaos. She was surrounded by polished professionals, all wearing designer suits and confident smiles. She felt out of place, but she worked hard, staying late, learning fast, and earning quiet respect. Ethan, meanwhile, was a mystery. Brilliant and intimidating, yet occasionally kind in small, unexpected ways, asking if she'd eaten, leaving her coffee on the desk when she came in early, defending her ideas in meetings when others dismissed her. But he never blurred the line between boss and employee, at least, not at first. One night, after a long meeting, Lila stayed behind to organize some files. She must have fallen asleep at her desk because when she woke up, there was a warm coat draped over her shoulders, Ethan's. She looked around. He was still in his office, staring at the city lights. Mr. Cole, she said softly. He turned, caught off guard. You should go home, Lila. She smiled faintly. You too, sir. Even billionaires need rest. For the first time, he laughed, a quiet, genuine laugh that made something in her chest flutter. From then on, things changed. They shared small moments, coffee breaks that turned into deep talks, silent glances that spoke more than words. But Lila never forgot where she came from, nor did Ethan forget why he admired her. Weeks later, Lila's mother took a sudden turn for the worse. The hospital called, saying her condition had deteriorated. Lila rushed there, heart pounding, praying she wasn't too late. When she arrived, she found her mother sleeping peacefully, and a nurse smiling at her. Don't worry, miss. The best specialists are taking care of her now. Everything's covered. What? Covered by who? Mr. Cole, the nurse said simply. Lila froze. She hadn't asked him for help. She hadn't told him where the hospital was. Somehow, he'd found out. The next day, she stormed into his office, tears burning in her eyes. Why did you do that? Ethan looked up calmly from his desk. Because I could. That's not the point. I don't want charity. He stood, his voice steady but soft. It's not charity, Lila. It's gratitude. You helped me see that not everyone is driven by greed. Let me help you now. Her anger broke, replaced by trembling emotion. You didn't have to. I know, he said quietly. But I wanted to. And for a long moment, they just looked at each other, no titles, no barriers. Just two souls who had somehow met at the intersection of kindness and fate. Months passed. Under Lila's influence, Ethan began changing, subtly, but undeniably. He started visiting orphanages his company sponsored, spending time with his employees, even smiling more. People noticed. What happened to Mr. Cole? They whispered. He's human now. One evening, after a successful charity gala, Ethan stood beside Lila on the balcony, the city lights twinkling below. You've changed me, he admitted. She smiled gently. I didn't do anything. You reminded me of who I used to be, before success, before I stopped believing in people. The wind brushed against them. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Weeks later, Ethan announced a new foundation, the Cole Trust for Honest Hearts, a program to fund education and jobs for those struggling but determined. At the launch event, a journalist asked, Mr. Cole, what inspired this? Ethan glanced at Lila, standing beside him. He smiled and said, a young woman reminded me that true wealth isn't what's in your wallet, it's what's in your heart. The room erupted in applause, but Lila's eyes shimmered with quiet tears. Later that night, after everyone left, Ethan approached her. Do you remember the day you returned my wallet? Of course, she said softly. It changed my life. He smiled faintly. It changed mine too. Lila's heart thudded as he took a hesitant step closer. You once told me that character is what you do when no one's watching. I think love is the same, it's what you feel when there's no reason to. Her eyes widened. Ethan, he hesitated, almost afraid. Lila, I've tested many people in my life, but you're the only one who tested me. You made me believe again, in trust, in goodness, in love. She blinked, her breath trembling. You're serious, more than I've ever been. The air around them thickened with everything unspoken, gratitude, admiration, love that had slowly grown in the spaces between honesty and trust. Lila stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. Then maybe the test was never about the wallet, Ethan. Maybe it was about finding each other. He smiled softly. If that's true, then I passed. And for once, the man who had everything realized that the greatest wealth wasn't found in empires or success, but in a single, honest heart that never stopped doing what was right.